And joining us to discuss is Clay Clark, the founder of ThriveTimeShow.com. And Clay, you're also a father here, so it's a good perspective to have of someone who would be sending kids potentially back to school in the fall. What do you think of Secretary DeVos's comments?
Well, I think when you look at COVID-19 and who it puts most at risk, it would be elderly people with deeply compromised immune systems, according to all the data reported from the CDC. So I'm not worried about my kids' health if they go to school. I'm more worried about their mental health if they don't go to school.
Of course. I mean, you have to wonder how not being in a classroom could impact someone's education experience. You don't hear all those questions from your classmates that are being asked. Of course, the social interaction would be limited as well. I'm not sure how many kids you've got, but, you know, you potentially get tired of just speaking alone with your siblings in a home learning environment. But you do mention, of course, the concern about those teachers in the classrooms, whether or not they would be putting themselves at risk. Do you think that risk is something worth taking to potentially send kids back to school in the fall, or should they just continue virtual learning?
Well, I interviewed Dr. Richard Bartlett, who is a leading health official there, on our podcast the other day. And Dr. Bartlett indicated that he has a treatment he's been doing, and the treatment that he's been giving to his patients has resulted in all of the patients not dying. None of his COVID-19 patients have died, and the treatment is $237, and it involves I'm not a doctor, but it involves budesonide taken with a nebulizer. And so far, everybody who's used that $237 treatment has not died. So I do believe we actually do have a cure for COVID-19 today. I do believe that, and I've had this confirmed with many other doctors as well. And I think that's what we should be talking about, is the effective treatments. And it just seems very disturbing to me that the Lancet was able to put out a poorly reported piece of medical literature that stopped us from using hydroxychloroquine when that has been proven to be very effective as well. So we do have a cure, and teachers are not putting their lives at risk by teaching kids.
Okay. I know we've had plenty of doctors come on, and again, we've gone over the effectiveness of hydroxychloroquine as well, and the story that has created in and of itself, that specific drug. Want to talk to you about the COVID cases in the U.S. They are spiking, causing some states to reverse their reopening plans. Do you think that will impact schools in the fall as well?
Well, if you want to keep the country shut down, then it would make sense to focus on the number of cases. If you want the country to open up, it would make sense to focus on the number of actual deaths and hospitalizations. But obviously, as we test more people, it's going to produce more cases. The thing I want everyone to look up, though, and to research, and please don't trust me, but look this up. Bill and Melinda Gates, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, made a massive donation of $100 million on February 6th, 2020, as reported by CNN. They donated $100 million to the CDC. So who's in control of the CDC? It's Bill and Melinda Gates, who, by the way, happen to be the folks making the vaccine. So I do not trust Dr. Fauci. Today, folks, we have a cure for the virus. We have a cure for the virus, and we have a cure for the fear. Stop listening to Fauci and Bill Gates. And I have a question. Who out there has the ability to fire Dr. Fauci? Because he's been wrong about everything. He says we should shut the borders. We shouldn't shut the borders. We should wear a mask. We shouldn't wear a mask. We should never shake hands again. Dr. Fauci is a corrupt individual.
Okay, you're ending it right there. We have truly not seen as much from Dr. Fauci, and earlier on in the program we did talk about whether or not he should be staying on the coronavirus task force at this time, because as you said, there have been instances of him contradicting himself and his own medical advice. So it'll be interesting to see if we hear from Dr. Fauci anytime soon. We have heard, at least from President Trump and his Twitter access that he has, and the fact that he's able to promote his thoughts and share them freely with anyone who follows him on Twitter. And he did say that he was thinking about cutting off funding if schools do not reopen in the fall. What do you think about that from the president, making it very clear that he wants schools to reopen, and in fact there could be negative outcomes for those that don't?
Well, one, we should definitely open up the schools, and we need to stop listening to Dr. Fauci, who is funded by Bill and Melinda Gates. And all of your listeners know this. I know this. You know this. We all know this. But Jeffrey Epstein's not a good man, and Bill Gates spent a lot of time with Mr. Jeffrey Epstein. So I don't think we should be listening to a pedophile for how to treat our kids. period. And that we shouldn't be listening to people who spend time with pedophiles as it relates to our kids. So if Bill Gates wanted to watch my kids as a babysitter, I wouldn't let him do it. I'm certainly not going to use a vaccine he recommends. And Bill Gates has asked Dr. Fauci to serve on his board for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So stop listening to Bill Gates and Dr. Fauci. They are corrupt individuals, and Bill Gates hangs out with pedophiles consistently. Why would he hang out with Epstein? Why would he do that? It's sick.
Okay. All right. Clay Clark, thank you for coming on today's program. We appreciate it. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. All right, still ahead. Is the administration losing confidence in Dr. Fauci? As we were just talking about, a new statement, it seems to suggest that the relationship between the White House and the doctors on the fritz. We'll break down what's happening. Coming